Good evening, listeners and viewers. Welcome to Bridge Radio Africa. This is Ashford, Garley Live. Here with you tonight is Volcano Shelton, the co-host of the program. Ashford is still engaged with pressing matters for Bridge Radio Africa, so he's not here tonight, and I'll be going solo tonight. We want to welcome all of you, our viewers and listeners, wherever you are tonight, all over the world, whatever the time zone you're in. Welcome to Bridge Radio Africa. We have a great show tonight for you. A good conversation just to talk about Liberia. Liberia is just a particular topic trending, and this is not just because we want to nitpick, but we really want to discuss the issues and the country as a whole. So we want to quickly recognize our sister radio stations out there in Liberia that do us justice by broadcasting our cast. We want to welcome and say thank you to 105.3 Top FM, and that's in Zwedru Grangita County. We also want to recognize Joy FM 101.5 and Live FM 104.1 for all you do for Bridge Radio Africa and the Ashford Garley Live show, carrying us simultaneously while we broadcast here in the U.S. Today, we're coming to you from studios in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful day. It's still cold out there, and I don't know where you are tonight, but it's cold outside, and just wanted to say that we are keeping warm indoors. So we want to welcome all of you. We see Raymond Clark just joining us from Dallas, Texas. We see Mapla Nikia. We see Alvin Perry, Verdell Campbell, Jack Mersch, one of our avid viewers. We just want to say if you're celebrating your birthday today, we wish you happy birthday and many more years to come. Whatever the anniversary you are also celebrating, we want to wish you well. This evening, we're going to be looking at Liberia. Again, as I said, looking at Liberia. If you all recalled, just quite recently, the newly elected president of America, President Joe Biden, just accredited an ambassador to Liberia, sent an ambassador to Liberia, who presented his letter of credence to President Weah a few days ago. But to discuss some of the issues we're about to talk about here tonight, we want to see how President Weah's speech aligns with the intent of what America could likely do. The fact that Liberia is the first country in Africa where President Biden sent an ambassador. Does it speak volume? Is it telling us something? What do we need to know? I have in studios tonight a good friend and brother, very eloquent guy, is sharp, razor sharp. Leo Nupolu Johnson from Canada, who will be our in-house guest tonight to discuss these things. Welcome, Leo. How is it on your end?
It's going very well, Shelton. I empathize with you in terms of the cold. It's a very cold winter night, but yeah, we're staying warm and staying indoors, and I look forward to being able to contribute.
Yeah, and just tell our viewers a little bit about you, because, again, the last time I had one of my former colleagues, and I thought he was a, popular guy, but some people were wondering who he was, so he had to do a quick, overview of his history. So let's do that. Do you justice.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Leo Nupolu Johnson, and I live in Canada, Liberian here in Canada. Also, the president of the Liberian Association of Canada, which is the umbrella Liberian Association in Canada. I'm also the executive director of a non-for-profit called Empowerment Squared, which I founded actually about 12 years ago. And I am the 2019 United Nations fellow for the International Decade for People of African Descent. I do a lot of work in Liberia particularly, but a lot of work also in the Liberian diaspora in multiple countries. So I tend to wear a lot of hats, sits on many different boards, and also support a lot of different Liberian groups. But yeah, in terms of my profession and my background, my degree is in political science and economics. But I also am a senior non-for-profit executive currently with about 12 years under my belt.
Okay, so thank you so much. But yeah, someone just tried to clarify something here. Say Ambassador McCarthy was appointed, or rather nominated by Trump. He presented his letter of credence recently. Howbeit, has he been renominated by the Biden administration? But yeah, clearly, when McCarthy went over to meet with the president, President Weah, he did mention that he was sent by President Biden, and we did acknowledge President Biden in that exchange, and even thank him for the extension of the DED. Did you get to see that?
Yeah, but also the U.S. Embassy released a statement because there were some quarters saying his credentials were not valid because he was appointed by President Trump. And no, the U.S. Embassy released a statement saying no, Ambassador McCarthy credentials were valid because, first of all, he wouldn't have proceeded with his credentials if the newly elected president. These are things that presidents get briefed on. So I'm very almost 100% certain that President Biden was briefed that Ambassador McCarthy is scheduled to present his credence should he proceed or not. And I'm pretty sure President Biden would have said, no, we will make some changes if he wasn't in favor of it. So yes, Ambassador McCarthy is representing the United States of America, which is currently led by President Joe Biden.
Well, accordingly, let's just say that he's the first ambassador now sent to Africa, and Liberia happens to be the first country since Biden came to power. Irrespective of who nominated and who sent him, he is now the ambassador in Liberia. Um, does it mean anything when you look at how quick that happened? And does it mean that Biden administration will have a focus on Liberia? How do you see it?
I see it from a few different lenses. Number one is that Liberia has an opportunity to be ahead of the game because usually presidents do take time to figure out their foreign policy, and there might be a lot of changes in ambassadors around the world with a new government coming in. That's very possible, and it will clearly take time for these new ambassadors to help align the U.S. foreign policy towards these countries. So Liberia has a head start in the sense that immediately Liberia is already on the radar in terms of being discussed and what is the U.S. Foreign policy, what are their goals going forward. And I think there is a unique opportunity while many other countries are still waiting to see who might be appointed, who might be changed, who might not be changed. We are in a position with some stability of saying we know who's coming in. So this is the time to nail it down. So I think yes, but number two, it also signals President Biden's seriousness about wanting to look at Liberia as a country, because he would have easily said, you know what, let's put the credentialing on hold until we can get our bearing and get ourselves settled and figure out what we're going to do. No, but he proceeded and said, you know what, let's go ahead. So I think that's a clear signal to say, I'm willing to work. I'm willing to talk about where does Liberia fit within our priorities and our goals. And as you know, a lot of friends of Liberia are holding very high profile position within President Biden's cabinet. So if there are any indications as to what role this should be or what signal they send, I think people need to start picking up the clues.
And honestly, you're right, because I saw our Dawo, meaning Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, was kind of tweeting, in favor of Kamala Harris during the elections. Does that mean that the old lady has some hands again, to influence things behind the scene?
I mean, like it or not, Madam Sirleaf remains the most prominent Liberian politician and global leader. I mean, she established, people don't understand, but she established herself long before even becoming president of Liberia, from the World Bank to the UN, and she's well respected. I mean, she can be controversial. You can agree or disagree with who Madam Sirleaf is, but you cannot disagree that I don't think there are not many things that can happen in the international community about Liberia without Madam Sirleaf's consultation, because people believe in her ability and understanding and experience of the region, and being the only, I would say, active former president we have engaged in anything. No one should fool themselves. And Madam Sirleaf is going to play a key role when it comes to how countries like the United States and other countries globally draw up their agenda for Liberia.
That's a tough one. People would think that she retired and she's behind, done with Liberia. But that's an important way to look at it. We want to quickly welcome Beatrice Dine, Emmanuel Jackson, Vakam Benin, Maju Toure, Joshua Pugh, I did see Tomalin George. Welcome tonight. It's good to have you in house. Stephen Johnson, Page, R.S. Bangura, Isaac Gue, and Jerome Roberts. All you folks, thanks for coming on. We have our man Leo Johnson this evening. Ashford is not in studios tonight because he has some pressing engagement, but we are looking at Liberia. So let's continue to review, President Weah's annual speech the other day. I had some guests in studios with me. But if you had the opportunity to listen to the speech, do you see any kind of alignments with the expectations of what America and Biden's administration will, want for Liberia?
I would say certain things first of all. I think there was a difference with the recent speech compared to previous ones that we've heard, at least the last two ones, the last two or three that we've heard in the past. One of that was the fact that I noticed that President Weah tried to focus on what he felt were priorities rather than focusing on taking jabs at whether it's opposition or people who have come out to criticize him sharply. I think that has been a distraction in the past. Whenever he made these major speeches, sometimes it takes away from the actual focus of the speech when people want to focus on the jabs that came through at some point. I noted as this speech was a bit focused. It didn't go in that route. But also, there were clear missed opportunities. I didn't hear any direct intentional emphasis and overture to the new U.S. government. I didn't hear that when I listened to the entire speech. I also did not hear someone who sounded like the Liberian government was already aligning its priorities to figure out their engagement strategy with the new, especially just after credentialing the ambassador. I would have thought that speech would have spent quite a few minutes on just expressing and giving the overture to the U.S. that, you know what, at this point, we're prepared to retool, to reorganize, to figure out where we agree and what are the things we can immediately begin to work on as a clear sign to say, we're already ready. We want to talk. We want to find opportunities. I didn't get that, and I think that is a missed opportunity because we all know. Yeah, go ahead.
And just quickly to add, I remember one of our guests said something about when President Weah first came to power, his emissary that he sent to the U.S. were inexperienced and young guys coming to the scene. And so I don't know how much of an impact it had. So like you said, he missed out on this opportunity to acknowledge the transition in power and how it could, impact his last 3 years and the things that he needs to do in terms of aligning his aspirations to that of America's expectations.
Yeah, we already know there are some very specific things on the table, like the Millennium Challenge Corporation. We know that has been a huge gift to Liberia in the past, and support opportunity that currently we were struggling to access. We already know that in the security sector, the U.S. spent millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in Liberia. So there are already things on the table that were active that the Weah government has struggled to keep active. If anything, these were going to be specific highlights to say we are willing to look at how we can retool to ensure that some of these tools that are already in place, that we can re-strengthen them. But I also think whoever wrote President Weah's speech, I think spent a lot of time not looking at unique opportunities to inspire some hopefulness. I think they spent a lot of time justifying what they've done and how they've done it and whatever that is. And let's be honest, no matter how you explain it, and like it or don't like it, people are already going to criticize on you. People are more worried now about what's going to happen. This speech was very anticipated. And I think there was a missed opportunity also in terms of inspiring some hope that some specific things are going to be done differently, as clearly signaled by the president. That was not so clear. That left to be figured out. I didn't see that coming through.
And you talked about all of the things, the accomplishments, but they are tangibles and people can see, what's happening in the country. You're talking about one thing here and they're really living through the hard times. So, you're right. They didn't do well in terms of looking at the missed opportunities and the things that they would have done to kind of, bring to limelight what the steps would be. So my next question to you would be, how does President Weah now gain the trust of the U.S. In the next 3 years? What are some of the things that he can do and show congruence that he's going to do those things? Because you said the speech didn't really define that. He did mention a few things, but it was not very definitive. So what do you think are some of the things he can do now?
Sometimes within government circles, people tend to think that the only way you can get your way through is to try and meet the top people, right? The Secretary of State, the ambassador, or whatever. If I was President Weah, and we clearly, if that's whatever strategy they've been using over the last few years hasn't worked, we haven't seen the level of robust engagement with the United States like we've seen in the past under Madam Salif. I would suggest, if I were advising President Weah, that this is the time to dispatch your most qualified, trusted, capable people at all levels of the U.S. government, from the embassy level to the State Department level to the Liberian embassy in Washington, D.C. level. Because here is the thing. You're only going to get your messages going to the top when the people who are on the field at the bottom are beginning to feel a sense of something different. Because remember, they inform, and their buzzes about what's actually happening, and the buzzes will make decisions based on what's going on. So I think if I was president, we are right now, I'm thinking about recalling some of our veteran people in international relations, some of our veteran people in diplomacy, especially as it relates to the U.S. And I would say redefining their strategy in working with former President Sirleaf. And let me say this again, what I actually mean by that, because you can dislike former President Sirleaf's presidency. You can disagree with what she achieved or did not achieve. That's different. But when you have someone who sits in a prime position that can be leveraged for the good of the country, this is not about you endorsing President Sirleaf's government and what she did. This is about saying, hey, like it or not, this is someone sitting in a strategic position. Can we find the things that we agree upon? The ones that we do not agree upon, you know what? Let's put it aside. Let's find the opportunities, the ones we agree upon, and see if we can make some headways here for the good of our country.
So and that's a very very good point. But then President Weah said in the speech, looking ahead in the coming year and beyond. Okay, the focus of my government has always been my people and how I can improve their lives. The only way this can be achieved is by moving closer to the communities and working with them directly to empower them economically, to provide their basic social services and improve their lives in all aspects. This is clearly the focus of the pro-poor agenda for prosperity and development. Do you really see this happening in the next 3 years? Because President Weah was closer to the people when he needed to be president. And seldomly he comes to power and he disappears. He doesn't engage the people. He doesn't talk to the people. The people, they cry. They say, why is this president mute? On many of the important things in the country, things that are trending, the deaths of the auditors, the 3 missing boys, so many things happening here. And even he did not mention it in the speech at the fullest, Do you think this is achievable? Getting back to the people?
First of all, I would like to remind everybody, President Weah really does not have 3 more years. He has 1 more year. Because I would tell you that the last 2 years will be all about political jostling and alignment. We know what happens when elections are 2 years away. Everybody's going to be President Weah will now have to start getting in campaign mode by the time 2021 is over. So I think the real opportunity for getting some real work done is just 2021. If you miss the window for 2021, I'm not so sure. But let me say this. I think they also need to do a reality check. I'm one person who often said, I disagree with people criticizing the government for things the government did not promise. The one thing the government committed to was the pro-poor agenda, which was written on paper, enshrined in documents with specific deliverables outlined. Mm-hmm. What the government has failed to do is to take a stock of that agenda and say, here's what we committed to. Let's evaluate. What did we achieve? What are the milestones? And where did we fail? And come back and say, you know what? Here are the reasons that we failed. Maybe it was COVID. Maybe it was this. But let's tell people that we are accountable for the things that we committed to. I've never heard government ministers or even the president could not pull out of the pro-poor agenda some of the very specific deliverables. And, to be able to say, you know what? We've worked hard on this. We may not have achieved the milestones we set, but here's where we are. And I think, again, it's a missed opportunity. So the government has been working without being guided by its own agenda. Because when I look in that agenda, Shelton, I'll be frank with you, it was a beautifully crafted document. I thought from the beginning some of the milestones were too lofty. They were not realistic. But even if you had achieved 5% of some of those milestones, it gives people an indication that these people are focused. They put something down to be their guide, and they are clearly focused on achieving it despite the challenges. That's what Madam Salif did well, like her or not. She was extremely focused on the things she wanted to do to the detriment sometimes of other things that were important. But because
she didn't focus on corruption
exactly
as public enemy number one.
Exactly.
Yeah, continue. I was just trying to add. Yeah.
So my point is, again, when people listen to President Weah and the government, they've now gotten used to these lofty speeches and promises. You need to switch the narrative and say, you know what, this is not the time for la la land and dreaming land. This is the time to confront the realities, be honest and bold to say, you know what, the buck stops with me, Mr. President. We have failed in some areas, all not due to our own responsibility, some other external factors that we do not control, even with the budget. How do they keep promising the Liberian people that would deliver all these things with 570 million? It's not possible. Even if there was zero corruption in Liberia, 570 million is a drop in the bucket to even deal with just healthcare alone. So start to give the Liberian people a real sense that you are not a voodoo priest that can wave a magic wand. You're realistic, you're serious, you're focused, but the job ahead of you is more difficult. Get some empathy from the Liberian people. Don't make them think like you have everything nailed down 100% and you'll make it happen when that is not the truth. People love authenticity.
And I think Ellen disclosure of taking the blame for everything that happened in her government was the authenticity on her end. But unfortunately, Liberian people just, slap her on the wrist and say, go chill. But let's come back to the reality. You talked about these things, but I would say that honesty needs to be President Weah's mantra if he must win the trust of President Biden in his last 3 years. Recently, UP Chairman Amin Modad was guest here, and he asserted that there is a continued isolation of the oppositions and even those who are businessmen in the country. When this president said that Liberians will not be spectators in their own economy, here Liberian businesses are strangled, they're choked, they're struggling. How can you say that and be honest about it? So, come on in, Leo.
And again, this is the issue about lofty promises unrealistic, right? That's a great thing to say. Liberians will not be spectators in their own economy. The mistake, and that's not a bad commitment to make. The only problem is there were not practical milestones set as to what does that mean. When you say Liberia will not be spectators, does that mean the government is going to legislate some laws and practical policies that will promote Liberians taking over? Does that mean the government is going to put tariff waiver at Freeport for Liberian businesses that are coming in? Does that mean the government is going to prioritize government loans and finances? Again, you can only measure success if you have practical milestones. But by just making a speech, and that's why when people were excited, I told them I wasn't too excited doing the inauguration because until I can see some practical milestones to say, here is what we mean when we say Liberians will not be spectators. That's just a speech. It doesn't mean anything. I can't measure the government on whether they succeeded or failed on that goal because I have no milestones to measure, right? So I would say this. When it comes to how Liberians are being prioritized, I think, again, President Weah missed an opportunity to also acknowledge the sacrifices of Liberian businesses despite the strangulation they've been undergoing. Some of them have still managed to keep surviving, to keep the economy afloat. And I'm specifically talking about the informal economy because 80% of our people are operating in that economy, whether it's in the bitterball markets or in the red light markets or waterside.
Absolutely.
This has been the means of survival for the country. As president, as the father of our nation, I would have expected that some of your attention and acknowledgement, giving them this major platform where the entire country was listening to you, to acknowledge the sacrifices that Liberian businesses are making in spite of the strangulation that they are facing. And I didn't hear that kind of sentiments coming from the president for people to be like, you know what, we don't agree with everything, but clearly the president is intentional in thinking about how we are suffering and what should be done. Again, I didn't hear it. So I don't know what you mean when you tell me, say, Liberians will not be spectators in their own economy. I got no milestones to measure. If I have a milestone and I can competently tell you that, you know what, here is the milestone and I can hold you accountable because you said you were going to put in specific policies to prioritize Liberian businesses. You said you were going to provide waivers at the Freeport of Monrovia, targeted at only, listen to some of the waivers that they've provided. They've been general. You can be, Liberian businesses can be behind 400 years behind all of their international peers. And then you issue a waiver and cut it across the board. No, you need to have in-depth waivers and opportunities to Liberian business, much greater than their peers that are already way ahead of them that can afford the things that they can afford anyway. So for me, I think the president needs to get a bit practical and not pay too much attention to these policy wonks that just want to write things, lofty goals. I think the president needs to start pushing them to the wall and say, you tell me, how will Liberians not be spectators in our own economy? I want to see 10 specific milestones that I can commit to the Liberian people, and you need to explain to me how we will achieve that.
And I'm hearing from Liberian businesses, there's a lot of huge taxes and there's no, customers, especially in the tourism and hotel business. It's just difficult for businesses to thrive. And the other thing I'm hearing too, there's no stimulus given to businesses to revive like they do here in America. How do you see that?
Yeah, I would say number one, I think people forget, right? We live in these Western countries, some of us who have had opportunities to be here, and we have seen the increased nationalism, like buy American, buy Canadian, buy British. And we've seen governments being intentional without any remorse or apology to anyone that we will prioritize our local businesses. If our bigger Western brothers and sisters can do it, how about us who actually need to preserve what we've got? But when it comes to stimulus to Liberian businesses, I think it's unrealistic for the government to be giving this indication. Because where would the money come from? Let's be honest. I don't see where it's going to come from, Shelton. I think the government needs to be more focused on incentives, because the government has the power and the political will to look at incentives to say this incentive will not cost us real cash money, but it would improve the business environment for local businesses. Whether it's through taxes, whether it's even through something as simple as the Freeport of Monrovia. So to say, and some of them may just be symbolic, Shelton, but it is that symbolism that inspires confidence and trust and hope. Because guess what? If Liberian businesses all of a sudden will be paying 10% less than they were paying last year, you know what sentiment that sent is that, oh, wow, our cost has actually dropped. It doesn't matter if it was only 10%, but it inspires a certain amount of confidence to be like, oh, wow, we were paying 5,000 for a container, 44 container at the port last year, but guess what? This year, it's dropped to 4,300 or 4,400. It's not about the size of the incentives. It's about the ability to reinforce the resilience of Liberian business to say, you know what, let's hang in there. It looks like it's getting better. Let's keep pushing through, because you see, there's been some change, regardless of how small and incremental it is. But to leave those reality day-to-day issues,
absolutely,
and jump to lofty goals, I keep asking them, please tell me where the money will come from. You will do all of these things in the same 570 million? I can't understand how. That is voodoo economics.
And building roads from it.
Building roads, doing healthcare, doing education, doing agriculture,
paying salaries.
Paying salaries, all coming from the 570 million. That is voodoo economics. I'm still waiting for a day that anybody can show me how you can meet all these lofty goals with 570 million. It is not practical.
So there's a lot of viewers here talking about they should shut down the APM terminal because it's killing Liberian businesses. To ship a container, all the hurdles you go through. Then you get to the port, they want to open your container, take everything down, adding by adding. You got the other man, then they're sitting there trying to hustle you. I mean, there's no, easy pathway to do those things. Take, for instance, people are saying now at the airport, those who are going in have to take coronavirus tests. You get there, you take the test, no result. They give you an application, you hit the town, you swing around. We don't know the result, but you already acclimated in the community. And then you come back to leave the country, you take the test, no result until minutes to your flight. And then they tell you, matter of fact, you go there and say, oh, we don't even know, your name not in the data. And then you dance around and then you start getting jittery. As soon as you start pushing low dollars here and there, then your name appear. And then, bam, you're out of the country. You don't know your result, whether you're positive, you're negative, you're what, but you're out of the country. So I think the problem here is that we put too much bottlenecks in simple things that we should be able to do that would benefit and enhance the confidence of the Liberian people, like you said.
Yeah, so I will give my little perspective on the Shelton, but I think this will be a whole nother show to go into this. I think here is the problem, and I was a bit disappointed when President Weah followed suit with Madam Sirleaf. We've borrowed everything in our country.
Everything.
From systems to processes. We continue borrowing. It will not work. It is not consistent with the way our society functions. It is not consistent with the way we even engage, Shelton. Let me give you an example. We're here, Shelton. When you want to go renew your license plate or whatever that is, right? You go to the ministry, you fill in your forms, you provide all the documentations you need, provided you submit it, you get it back, right? You're in Liberia. You don't have systems that have databases to proof check who Shelton is, for example. Shelton can show up and say, hey, anybody and make fake ID and get his way through. So how can you borrow a system like that from the West and take it to Liberia and think it will work? No, in fact, we need to start focusing more on the way our society functions and start developing system and rejecting these blueprint template that these international organizations give us. It does not make sense. Even with the collection of taxes, we are basically replicating the way the Western societies do taxes. I'm promising you today, I'm yet to see how something like that will work in the type of informal nature with the way our society is structured. You got no data. You have no data to hold anybody accountable, and you want to implement systems from the West that rely on accurate, robust data processing. It does not work. So let me say this, even to the COVID-19 testing, this is what happens when you don't set up realistic systems. We set up systems that we cannot fund. You don't have the resources to let it function robustly. So what will happen? All kinds of loopholes. And then people will look, human beings are innately that way. We seek opportunities to beat the system for our own benefit, whether it is the person working in the office collecting something small or the person who coming to do it, finding a shortcut around it. That's why we need to set up systems that are simplistic, that are homegrown, that makes practical sense, because we will be able to determine if it is being shortcut, rather than bring these systems that relies on computer data, that relies on robust database systems and information collection, and then you don't expect that people will exploit it. You're giving people the opportunity to exploit it. Even where we live here, when you create a system that allows people to exploit it, we exploit it. That's a human thing.
But Leo, the people are trying to fish in your account all day. They doing playing tricks here. As advanced as this society is, people hacking your account, hacking your bank, account, take money out, use your credit cards, So what are you talking? I mean, think about it.
Yeah. So think about it. Why? I'm even afraid. Why are you setting up these type of computer systems in Liberia without having any robust security control for people's data?
There you go.
First of all,
and you got guys in the sub-region who are capable of hacking into those systems.
Right in Monrovia. Don't go to sub-region. We got people right in Liberia. They don't even need to be sophisticated computer analysts. They can hack into your system and forge and replicate data multiple ways. The Liberian dollar, you heard one time when the Nigerians were actually reproducing them?
Yeah.
So let's be practical here. All I'm saying to people is this. Let's stop thinking that we need to be like Ghana. The foundations that Ghana have laid in place, we're nowhere close to that yet. So we can't start implementing systems that Ghana is implementing. We need to go to the foundational basics to make sure, and we may not get it right from the beginning, but I would say, I'll give you something simple. If you want to conduct COVID-19 tests, right, or whatever that is, why are we creating these sophisticated systems? Why are we not looking at, okay, what is the most practical way for us to ensure and track people as they enter the country, since we don't have any data on them anyway, right? How do we collect that information? Let's troubleshoot that. What is the most practical way of proving that somebody took the COVID test instead of somebody entering the database and just putting in their information and say they took it and they never took it? Do we know that? Because the only way you can really create system when you consciously troubleshoot, when you answer yourself and say, okay, let's set up a computer database or whatever. What is the database relying on? Your next question should be, do we have the security systems in place to protect that information? The next question should be, are we able to do this at all? And if you can't, I will promise you today, this is where we need to engage our partners. Can you talk to the U.S. Embassy and say, you know what? COVID is a global pandemic, and if we don't do our part, we might be helping spread the virus even in the sub-region. We've come up with some very serious questions that we have no answers to. What can you do? Here is how we think we should set up the system. Don't let them be the one to tell you what to set up. Provide leadership. Give them an idea of what you're thinking will be robust and proper to actually do, and then ask for help. But to go to the U.S. and say we want to do COVID testing, but we don't have any way to do it, please help us do it. So the U.S. can replicate something that will work as long as they are funding it and managing it. The moment they are done and leave, it all collapses. And that has been our history in Liberia.
And you're absolutely right, Leo. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Ashford Garley Live on Bridge Radio Africa. We are coming your way via our Facebook and YouTube channels. We come your way Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 a.m. GMT. Wherever you are in the world, we want to welcome you. We see Benny, and Amy Bachu and Anthony Gaze here at Tengbe. All you guys are welcome to the show tonight. We don't have Ashford in studios because he's very busy right now. We're trying to take this platform to the next level, and he's working behind the scenes to get some things in place. So, Ashford, wherever you are, we wish you well tonight. Hopefully, you're listening. We also want to recognize our live FM 105.3 out there in Zwedru, Grangita County, that carries our broadcast, Joy FM 101.5, and Live FM 104.1. Welcome to all of you. If you're celebrating your birthday, we said earlier, wish you happy birthday, whatever the anniversary is. Now, Leo, you talked about something when we were backstage about President Weah missing out on the opportunity to acknowledge the diaspora
Yep.
in that speech.
Yep.
Having gone through a year of unproductiveness, this government did not do anything but just sat there and prayed for manna to fall from heaven. And it's manifested that no money in the bank. It is manifested that the economy is strangled. There's been no robust production in the economy. And Liberians in the diaspora do so much due diligence by taking care of our families, the issues in the country. We're contributing to development. People have nonprofits that go there to spend months catering to different needs in the country. And Mr. President did not mention anything about the diaspora support to
Yeah.
Liberia.
Yeah. I raised that, Shelton, with you when we were chatting. That was the most, and I was shocked up to now. I don't hear diaspora Liberians even outlining it, that the missed opportunity. And here is the problem. If you go to many other countries, right, African countries in the sub-region, other places, the immediate actions of most of the governments when they get in is to be intentional about how can we force our diaspora citizens, give them the type of incentives that they need to be running to this country. That's the first thing to do. In Liberia, we've been complacent with the fact that, the people can come, they can send money for their family, and, they should just come and do it. When President Weah gave his inauguration speech, he had a very serious emphasis on calling on Liberians in the diaspora to come home to support his administration. Now, you can argue, many people disagree with him in the diaspora, but it does not stop them from their responsibility of supporting their families. It doesn't stop them from their responsibility of doing the little businesses in here that they do. What I think is a mistake is that the Liberian government fooling around and not being intentional about saying, okay, let this be number one priority of our government. You're strangulated. You can't even collect taxes. I've argued this, that the Liberian diaspora is supposed to become the first more permanent tax-paying base of the Liberian citizenry, of the Liberian population. Let me give you a simple example here, Shelton. We're living out in the diaspora here, right? We send remittances, almost over $300 million in some instances a year. What do? We are fighting with Western Union there, with MoneyGram there. Why is the Liberian government not creating some type of structure in place that forces and businesses that are doing remittances to have it done through our monetary system in a way that can ensure that they are not only tracking this money, but they are allowing government to force these businesses to put in incentives that will encourage Liberians to facilitate more transfers of money to their countries. Number one.
Very brilliant point.
Yeah, why are they not doing it? Why should Western Union, MoneyGram still be running?
I want you to stay in your trend, but doesn't it frustrate you? You go to Western Union and the system down. You go to MoneyGram, sometimes the system down. You're traveling all over the place just to send your own money.
To send your own money.
Why
are we sitting in 2021? Which country? I go to Ghana all the time. The Ghanaian government has Western Union and MoneyGram on a tight leash to ensure that the interests of their people are served, to ensure that the quality of service is top line. And they tell them, if you can't do it, we'll kick you out. Who doesn't want to make profit? Why should we be beholden to these companies, right? How come the Liberian government has not even explored with supporting Liberian businesses who have tried to get into the money transfer system? There have been a lot of local businesses that have tried, but again, they are strangulated because Western Union and MoneyGram is too gigantic for them to compete with. Why is the Liberian government now spurring competition by saying, you know what, we will come up with some very simple policies, does not benefit Western Union and MoneyGram. They're good. They've made hundreds of millions of dollars from this country.
Millions.
We will target it at Liberian businesses who want to enter the money transfer business, and we will make sure their incentives are so real that they will get to the point of challenging Western Union and MoneyGram. No, we're comfortable. The government is at the mercy. Because guess what? The day Western Union and MoneyGram decided to shut down money transfer to Liberia, it will cripple the Liberian economy. Why would you want to be in that? That's a national security problem.
And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And there's no way that I can differ with you on this, because it's sad. It's sad that we continue to rely on others. And you talked about, how President we are missed out on, we in the diaspora. We go to our own country. We're treated like we're strangers. But you got Lebanese men that running the country. You got
Yeah,
Indian men running the country.
yeah,
You got Nigerian men running the country.
yeah,
That stuff hurts me so bad.
yeah.
I was born in Liberia, reared in Liberia, educated in Liberia.
And you are
And then I
still
go home, you
committed,
look at me and call me
and
Lebanese
you
white man. You
and you are
know,
still and you
it's
are
just
still
to say the
committed
joke.
to Liberia, even
Yeah.
though you live here and live a good life and decide that you would just be. But let me say this: this borders on a bigger line of our successive Liberian government, even Madam Salif, treating diaspora Liberians as lesser than citizens. And I'll tell you why I say so. It is a shame and an embarrassment that we are debating dual citizenship for Liberians in the diaspora. It's a shame. Let me tell you why I say it's a shame. Liberia as a country has no way of determining who its citizens are that are in the country. No way. Because according to the latest UN report, it is only up to 37% of Liberian citizens who have never left Liberia have an accurate birth record anywhere. So Liberia has more than 60% of its citizens that does not exist. They don't exist, even though they never left the country. They don't exist in any registry if they've never gotten a birth certificate or a passport to travel anywhere. Number two, why are we making the right to grant citizenship or dual citizenship to natural born Liberians a political argument? It's a shame. Liberia is the only country that a natural born Liberian cannot be deported from because they did not choose to be a Liberian. It was not a choice. They didn't have that choice to decide, I'll be Ghanaian, I'll be Liberian, I'll be American. No, and that's why they call it natural born. Liberians who have citizenship in other countries can be deported. Most countries now have laws that say they can revoke your naturalized citizenship if you commit certain crimes. Liberia is the only country that cannot revoke that from you. So why are we not making the dual citizenship argument an economic argument? For example, it is your right, Shelton, you were born in Liberia to be a Liberian citizen. It's your right. But it is a privilege for you to say, I want to hold another passport. That is a privilege.
Yeah.
So make us pay for it, especially those who have other citizenship. Say, for example, if you want to hold a second passport as a Liberian citizen and have equal rights, with equal rights comes equal responsibilities. Let's say, I'm just calling random figures, right? Let's say $100 US is your fee for dual citizenship all year as a permanent tax. We will know who the real Liberians are and who the real Liberians are not. Let's say you are required to have no less than $5,000 US of real property or asset in Liberia to actively maintain, your dual. You will not lose your Liberian citizenship. This is about saying maintaining another passport on top of it. Let's say we introduce 2 seats in the legislature, one in the Senate, one in the House of Representatives to represent dual citizens' interests in there. You know what you do? You've just spurred collecting close to $200-300 million a year from Liberians around the world in the diaspora who have, because for them, it's not about saying you deny me my Liberian citizenship. No, it's about saying you are offering a pathway for me to get a privilege, something that I have no choice now because of the way my life evolved to hold. So why are we making this argument political? The argument of dual citizenship should not be political because it is inevitable. It is impossible, let me tell you today, for Liberia to not get to a place of having dual citizenship because the country was built on that foundation. It was built on the foundation of dual citizenship. So people can make it a political argument. The longer we wait, the more opportunities we lose to let our brothers and sisters who have come out here achieve some success to forcibly come back and help contribute to nation building.
And it's sad, and these guys are so heartless. A lot of them sitting in there with foreign and citizenships, and they're all representatives and senators, and then they're sitting on this bill depriving hundreds of thousands of Liberians who should have that same right to come home and be able to contribute. Now, I don't have to go to Liberia to run to be senator or representative. No. But I want to have that freedom to come to Liberia, or many of us want to have that freedom to come to Liberia and be able to do the things we want to do. We shouldn't have to be, in the dark, operating in the dark. Yeah, it's a disservice to the country.
And here is the funny thing about it, Shelton Avocado, that it's funny because Liberia has no way of even protecting its passport, right? Let me say it to you today, Shelton. If you went
all over the place.
Exactly. If you went to Liberia today and say, I want a passport, and they ask you, do you have any other citizenship anywhere? And you say no. How are they going to prove you right or wrong?
They can prove it.
Are you guys trying to talk about a law that is impossible? It's a dead law. It cannot be enforced. How do you have any robust system and database to prove that Shelton has a citizenship anywhere else in the world? If Shelton tells you, say, no, I don't. We saw an example recently with Representative, what's his name from Nima County? I forgot his name. Somebody sued him that he was a U.S. citizen and running to be a senator. And they took him to court, and the person produced a photocopy of his passport, his U.S. passport. The court dismissed it and said anybody can forge a photocopy. You must produce the man original passport or proof to show that he's a. Why are you going to get, if you call the United States and say we want to know if Shelton Fukano is a American citizen, the U.S. will tell you that's private protected information. You need his consent to get that. So why are we wasting time on arguing about things that make absolutely no sense? Instead of us saying, let Volcane Shelton himself, if he has another passport, let him be so proud that he can come to Liberia and say, you know what? I would justify that privilege I have over other Liberians in Liberia who can hold another passport by making sure I pay for that privilege, or by making sure I account for that privilege through my taxes to my country, because it's a privilege that other Liberians who never left Liberia do not have.
So we'll be opening the lines. We just posted the number 404-272-2808 to call in. This is a very, very interesting topic here. We're talking about the newly accredited ambassador to Liberia from the U.S. under Biden's government. What does it mean for Liberia, and how will President Weah, pick up on some of the opportunities that Liberia is the first country where Biden has sent an ambassador in Africa. That should, present a signal. And we're also looking at some of the things that continue to plague the country. His government make lip service promises, but they're not living up to those promises to the fullest. So we have a caller now. It's going to be crazy tonight. I can really imagine. Yeah, there's a caller from 5881. Are you there? Hello, caller from 5881. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, I can hear you.
A caller from 5881.
Yes, Shelton, can you hear me?
Now,
that sounds like Steve.
There's a caller from 7611. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. How you doing?
Wow, what is going on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Are you there, caller?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, 7611. I don't know why my stuff is not going in queue, but I can put you to the phone. We'll do the old style.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, since I got you in already. Leo, can you hear him? Can you hear him?
Yes, I can hear him.
Go ahead, caller.
Excellent. Leo, thank you for the show. No, listen, my name is Ashford. I'm actually calling from Boston, Massachusetts. And on the issue of the diaspora having a say in Liberia, I've been pushing this issue for years. There's some people out there, in fact, tomorrow I'm having another show on the Sickle County show discussing this very issue. Now, Leo's a little passive on his view when it comes to why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? My approach, we have to be extremely aggressive in achieving everything Leo talked about. Nothing will be given for. Look, Liberia will not change until we in the diaspora take this issue very seriously. Until we do that, it's not going to change. There are a bunch of things that we can contribute to the country. But if we are ready for people back to allow us to do it, it's not my approach. If people that are listening, I recommend you Google the Liberian $1 billion challenge. We have an agenda, and this agenda is to take control of the country by some means. I'm not talking about military. I'm talking about, in a way, what bring our economic might to forbear. And say Liberia must change now by all costs. We can't wait for them because they're not going to allow us to change the country. This year, and my issue is, you perceive me as sorry, there will be a new revolution. And it will start in the diaspora. And our aim is to change the country for the better. But we have to have a say in Liberia. You talk about 2 seats in the legislature. I wrote a whole paper on this. Because this is the only way we Liberia raise an additional $300 million a year. And I don't know how you can raise that money just by involving us. It goes directly to the budget in the country. There are a bunch of ways we can do that. I just called today because I'm extremely passionate about this issue. But we in the diaspora, we owe a great responsibility to Liberia. We have to take charge of the country. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Dualu. Thank you so much. Always for chiming in. And I mean, I'm trying to get this stuff set. I don't know. It was doing good, and now I will hope that the next caller will go through.
Maybe I just want to say something quickly.
Yeah, come in.
This is what I want to say. I want to remind people, Shelton, that what led to the war partially was the issue around the same citizenship problem. When Samuel Doe took over after the coup and decided to get Amos Sawyer and the rest of them to the constitutional reform that they went through, and decided to deprive Liberians in the diaspora who ran away as a result of the atrocities that happened and who were witch hunted into the diaspora, trying to deprive them to come back. When they felt they could not come back to their country, what did they do? They organized in the diaspora and tried to come back forcibly because they were not able to come back in a peaceful manner for whatever reason. We're doing the same thing. We are setting ourselves up for another major crisis. You got hundreds of thousands of Liberians outside of Liberia who now get to be questioning whether they are welcome to Liberia or not, and whether somebody will not stop them tomorrow from doing something because somebody could come after their citizenship or whatever. It is a bad recipe for good governance and for the future of our country. Let us not make that mistake that was made in 1986 one more time. Let's open up a way to embrace all of our citizens, regardless of what we need to do, so that they all feel equal.
Thank you, Leo. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
I can hear him from my end. I don't know if you can hear him.
Yeah, I'm not hearing him.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Caller, you gotta lower your monitor. What's your name and where you calling from?
Okay, my name is Joseph. I'm calling from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah, go ahead. But you gotta lower your monitor. We're getting feedback from you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get this.
Are you good, caller?
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yes, I'm on the line.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I want to say thanks to you guys for this topic, because this issue of dual citizenship is really costing our country a lot. On recent time, I went to Africa and I noticed that this issue of dual citizenship is causing more harm to our people than the good, because there are a lot of people here in the diaspora wanting to go back, wanting to do things back home, but they feel like, okay, I don't think I'm welcome by my own people, because one way or the other I have another nationality, citizenship. So I just want to talk or say this to my lawmakers. There is no way you will tell me that if you put in laws where Liberians in the diaspora that are looking to do some great things back there, still maintain their citizenship, they're going to take away Liberia from you, or they're going to take all your jobs. I mean, we really have to do something about this. This is costing us a lot.
All right, thank you,
We have
caller.
to learn from other African countries.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another caller on the line. Is it 6330? Are you there?
Yeah, hey, Sheldon, how you guys doing today, man?
Good. Who are we speaking with, and what's your contribution? Where you calling from?
This is Micah Yase, and I'm calling from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Leo,
Okay.
how are you?
Good to hear you. My own cousin Michael Yasia talking, so good to hear you, bro.
Yeah, Sheldon, man, interesting conversation, and everything Leo is saying is on point. But this is the issue with the citizenship, and just from everything else, from the you talking about Joe Biden having an ambassador, recognizing an ambassador to Liberia, and everything else from the COVID screening to as a whole in Liberia. The whole thing is upside down, but there is a reason behind it, because accountability is our biggest thing in Liberia. And the most frustrating thing, because I go to Liberia, and when I go to Liberia, I go for about 2 months a year. Almost every year in the last 4 years, I've been doing that. And it's so sorry to see that we got so many resources from here. People like you guys up there speaking tonight, came to this country, worked so hard for education, got a career. And, in the Western world, we got seasons wherein our career at a certain point in time, we're not useful to the society, really. Our skills and everything, we train people every day to replace us. So our country needs those skills, but how can we integrate into the system is the problem. The guys who there sit in the executive, House of Representatives, and legislature.
Just
Those
just
guys,
just take 30 seconds to wrap up because we got many
yeah,
callers.
you know, they're missing the opportunity because all these skills that we are sitting on here, they could be benefiting a whole lot more from us. But with the citizenship and stuff, they don't want that because they don't want us to be equals to them.
Thank you.
They are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, this is a serious issue. You know, even though we came on one topic,
But
but now
everybody now narrowed down to this.
citizenship becoming another thing. Let me take one more
But
caller
I
here
think you
before we
intentionally
come
ask
back.
people about the
Yeah,
president's speech. That didn't give you
yeah.
feedback.
Hello, caller 627. Is that the correct number?
Well,
Oh,
is
okay.
that
All right, Adeni. Hello, caller from 6498.
Yes, hi, Leo. Very nice program. Ashford is absent, but Volcano, you've done exceptionally well. Leo, a couple of things. You were last on this show, and we talked about possibly,
Where you calling
you
from?
know,
You
you
didn't
put.
tell us. You just
We're calling from Philadelphia. I'm
and
sorry if I
who
didn't
we talking
disclose
with?
that. This is Dean Wilson.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Volcano. Yeah, here's the situation. Always a pleasure to listen to Leo. Leo, very endowed, very knowledgeable. We were last on the same show. And we talk about putting some of these things in blueprint. You know, Liberia is like an enclave. We have a cave, and I think there's a lot of discernment about folks, Liberians who are outside, and there's almost like a fear that we come in to take over. But I think Ellen may have put it right. Ellen is not one of my favorite furniture, but she said there's nothing. The dual citizenship is not even there's no one in Liberia that would stop any born Liberian outside from doing what they want to do in that country. And we all, for one reason, we talk about citizenship. We all know who are Liberians. So I think the issue here, Leo, what I would suggest, as I did the last time when you were on, is we need an economic movement that will actually implode in that country. Say for sure, you can combine all the budget of Liberia, the folks in Liberia who may have money, but we have more monies outside and more Liberians, experts, Liberians who are qualified with economic strength. And we have to force ourselves in a positive way to take back our country. But I think my view on this dual citizenship piece is that you learning Liberia today, Leo and Shelton, is not a hindrance. I think we need to pressure the government. There's a lot of fear, but I think I have a positive approach to it. I don't think that's a barrier at all. I think it's something that is just hearsay, but it's not going to stop any Liberian, and I think I will end on that.
Yeah, thank you, Dean, because we gave you at least over 2 minutes. So that's good. Thank you so much for your contribution. But listen, man, as you were speaking, something came to mind. And Leah, you can really add to it. No one wins elections in Liberia without the support of Liberians in the diaspora. This is where they come to campaign. This is where they come to solicit from our pockets.
And raise money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Solicit from our pockets. Yeah. And yet, when these guys go back now and win elections, we go there, we rally, we support, we encourage our family members and friends to vote for them. Yep. Then we become the enemy of the state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's take another caller quick. This guy being very, very persistent. Yeah. There's a caller from 6267. Are you there?
Yep.
All right. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
My name is Darlin Wawu. I'm calling from Worcester, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you to you guys in the studio tonight for the brilliant presentation. So I just want to say something a little about the dual citizen issue. I think we don't really have problem with dual citizenship in Liberia. It is to create problems. So if you say we really have problem with dual citizenship in Liberia, what do we have Elizondo Kumi running as president? John Weah has a U.S. passport. His wife has 3 passports. She has a Jamaican passport, American passport, and Liberian passport. All those guys in the lower and upper houses in Liberia who are represented as senators who came from here, they are all U.S. citizens. So this is not even an issue. People should not even discuss it because it's a waste of time. Okay? Liberia does not have dual citizenship problem. The problem is because dual citizenship is not a problem. People are doing a normal thing in our country. So you can't stop Comey from running for the presidency. He's a U.S. citizen. George Weah has 3 citizens.
Do you know that for a fact?
Yes. Of course, Jimmy Kogoya, the last chairperson of the Electoral Commission, they do have a U.S. passport. You don't know that too? I'm pretty sure you know that.
I'm just asking you. You're the one making the assertions. I don't know.
Yeah, I know that. I'm telling you, what I'm telling you, those are factual issues. So dual citizenship is not a problem in Liberia. It is a problem in people.
All right.
And we should
Thank you so much. We got to go to another caller. Thank you. We have a caller from 7703. Last number. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. What's your name and
Hi,
where you calling from?
Yes, Letitia Roberts. Calling from New Jersey. Firstly, I want to say thank you guys for the show. You're doing a great job. The conversation is on point. Regarding the president's speech, agree it was not promising. And that's because, as Leo said, this guy didn't give us much. He said he read what PAPD. However, I feel most of that was copied. They have the tendency of just using slogans or jargon that sound good to the common person, but they're not realistic. And so that's why they cannot show anything that they have achieved. But I also wanted to the point of the port, ATM. I hear the lady who was at the port, I don't know that for a fact because I wasn't into the Liberian politics that much at that time, but she did let them know that the agreement was not a good agreement. However, they continue to go and sign the concession. We are now, the Liberian people are the suffering ones. I used to send containers myself, but now you can't send anything because the prices or to get your stuff out is always a lot of work. Last but not least, I wanted to talk about the incentives. There has to be incentives for Liberians. Rwanda has incentives for their citizens or their people in the diaspora that are holding other passports. They pay a national fee to that country every year, every time they come in. So Liberia has to give its people incentives to come back, to give back, because as someone said, which is we are the middle class. We are the ones that sustain the economy. And to the point of the stimulus, if you notice, it was Liberians going in during this hard time, donating to groups, donating to single mothers. So that's why they got to keep their money, because they saw the people from the diaspora coming to the aid of the people. Most of the things that are done, they're not because of the money. The Liberian people, money is being shown.
Thank you.
We cannot see what's okay.
All
I'm sorry.
Thank
I
you
lost
so
my
much.
train of thought,
You went a little high, but it's okay. We have one more caller before we go back. This caller is 6267. Caller, are you there? 6267.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What's your name and where you calling from? Is this Atlanta?
Yes, it is Abraham from Atlanta, Georgia.
All right. Go ahead. Make your point quick. 1 minute.
Okay. Well, thank you for the show. I've been following you. I called mainly commenting about the dual citizenship. My position on dual citizenship, like the caller that called lady, when he made claim that XYZ got American passport. I've been in this country 22 years, always had green card, because my father was the late Councilor Isaac Richard Malobi, so I know Liberian law and I understand how the law is. And I have said that, okay, I have children in America, but that's the gift that I give to America. And I want to hold green card because I want to do certain things in Liberia. Now, I support dual citizenship to a point. And that point is that even in the United States, you have access to certain things. And so Liberia should have rules and regulations that govern itself. So when people run around just saying just because the man been in America for so long, Liberian like too much, they say, you say, I say. And that's what Americans,
So the point you're
Liberians,
making that most of those people are Liberians, they don't have U.S. citizenship?
some of these people that make these claims that, oh, this person got U.S. citizenship, you've been here 20 years. It's like me. Some people would say, okay, the man Jewish, so that means he Israelis. No, it's not because I'm Jewish by faith. I'm still Liberian. I fly Liberian passport. My might be whatever it is, but that's why I'm saying that you say I say just because I am an example. Abraham El Malobi, I still carry Liberian passport and I'm still Liberian, and I only have green card. So
thank you so much. You've gone over your time. Thank you for your points. Leo, listen, I think this dual citizenship will be a topic that we'll come back to.
I think we need to get a different show.
A separate show for it, because a lot of people are very, very concerned about it. But let's go back to the speech of President Weah as it aligns with the intention of our expectation for Liberia. He said, over the last 3 years, we have created a conducive environment for all to fully participate, irrespective of their political, social, and religious beliefs. The discourse has been diverse and loud. The media, political parties, and religious groups have all made their voices heard, holding public officials accountable. What do you make of that? When just the other day we had Henry Costa here, who can I have a broadcast on District Number 5 radio on Bushra Island. What do you make of this assertion that the environment is conducive when we have 3 missing boys with no head, no tail on their stories? When you have 4 auditors died, when you have a shady death of your public works minister. I say shady because it's all trending in the news. So what makes this environment conducive when you have Archie Pompon going to lay down at the Capitol, rather the Temple of Justice, and put himself on fire? When just the other day you had legislative workers laying on their cars and say the car of the pro tem will not go anywhere. What makes this environment conducive, Leo?
And I think that has been the lingering mistake that President Weah's government has made over and over. And I think it's going to be the greatest thing that will haunt them, in my opinion. Their failure to admit and confront realities as they are in Liberia. In fact, some of the things that they are talking about, Liberians are already aware that it is impossible for any one government to fully achieve it, right? Let's be honest. When you say you've made an environment conducive, we don't even have enough police people to police Monrovia. When you say you've made the environment conducive, when the total size of the armed forces of Liberia cannot even protect all of our border points. They cannot even. When the logistical issues with police officers being paid so poorly that they would take a $10 bribe to US bribe to kind of compromise major security systems because that's the only way they will survive. Now, people, when you say these things, people are quick to say you are accusing President Weah. This is not about accusing President Weah. President Weah took the job and said he was the man. So with the job comes the 173 years of burden that you said, I'm capable, put me in there and I'll solve it. So nobody's saying President Weah created a problem, but we are saying President Weah promised us that he would deliver us from this mess because he was the man. So we should choose him. And yes, the Liberian people overwhelmingly chose him. So I think President Weah needs to get to a place to start telling his own ministers that you guys stop this voodoo promises. It's impossible for us to deliver on some of these things, given our constraints. Let's evaluate. Let's be practical. Let's go to the Liberian people and tell them we cannot commit that we are able to change certain things. However, here are the things with the resources that we have. We will commit to you and that we will keep working hard to find more resources to tackle. You know, people think governing is the campaigning. It's not the same. Campaigning, you can say whatever you want. That's free talk. You're not there. When you're governing, you always have to undersell and over-deliver. That's how governance works. If you want to be seen as successful, tell the Liberian people, say this year we'll support 100 students in school and end up supporting 100,000 students. But this whole idea that the government is coming up with these lofty goals and telling people things that the Liberian people say, look at you and say, they're not true, it's not possible. You're not even able to do it. Even if you really truthfully wanted to do it, I think President Weah needs to come down from the hard horse and look the Liberian people in their eye. They voted President Weah not because he gave the Liberian people anything. They voted him because they thought he would represent their struggles and themselves. So let him wear the struggle and say, my people, we are suffering, and my people, this government is strangulated in many ways. We know what you are asking us to do. We may not be able to deliver. However, we will tell you what we can comfortably do, and we will tell you what we will do to try and find the resources to solve it. Like, be honest with us. You are governing. You are not campaigning. When the campaign time comes, put the promises on the table.
So then, what do you think if you put an emissary together to send to the United States and take an opportunity to engage? What would be some of the things he would put forth to them and ask them that he's struggling with? And again, I keep saying that you cannot isolate the diaspora.
No,
you cannot.
You cannot.
The brains are here. The capabilities are here, irrespective of Eugene Fagon telling people that some of us pushing cartoon, but at least within the fact that we're pushing our cartoon, we have other things to do that continue to enhance our capabilities and abilities.
And you got access.
And we have access. So what is he going to tell if you put, a group together to come here as a restart or a reset, put it that way, for the next 3 years? What are they going to come to tell a Biden's administration?
The first thing I would do, again, I'm not President Weah, or I'm not on the vice of the president.
He better listen. He better listen because it's good for him.
Yeah. If I was President Weah, the first thing I would do, I would send my very first emissary to President Biden administration and say, you know what? We are aware. We've had a lot of issues with corruption in our government. We have a lot of issues that we still haven't grappled with. So here's what we'll do. We identify all of our trusted partners already in Liberia, whether it's US aid, whether it's other trusted partners that the United States government already trusts, that the United States government is willing to put their money into, to say, you know what? We may not trust the Liberian government, but we may trust these trusted partners that we can put money into them. Go to the US government and say, you know what? We understand, Mr. Biden, if your administration would not want to trust us with $500 million because of some of our own past issues that we haven't dealt with. However, we want to commit to you that we are willing to elevate our trusted partners through which you yourself have already worked, to ask for your assistance and allow them to help us to. President Biden will not have problem allocating money to US aid to build another 100 kilometers of road because they trust that you say is able to get it done. But they'll have a problem giving 100 million straight to the Liberian government based on some of our past records. So President Weah needs to reassure the US government that hold us accountable for dealing with our corruption excesses, but at the meantime, help us through some of your trusted partners that you've sent by allocating resources to help us build our systems while we are chastising our own systems with the corruption. But instead of that, they've gone with this one-wing approach that people should give money to the Liberian government. People will not do it. You need to let people know that part of your strategy is finding the conduits through which that are reliable, transparent, and verifiable, that governments can start to say, you know what? I would not get a Liberian government 500 million, but I can let them strangulate. So we get USA ID to oversee another 100 kilometers of roads for Liberians while we chastise the Liberian government to deal with their corruption excesses. That has happened many times. That's the only way we've been able to survive. Why are we not leveraging that? And
you would think that since he made his speech, actions will be put in place. He still has Nwabudike sitting over the LASC, a tinted character, a fraudster, and yet he has done nothing about it. And so why is this lip service? He's not helping himself. He's not helping the country, But I have a call on the line, Louis. Let me come to this caller, Leo, rather. Let me come to this caller quick. Caller, are you there? 3889, is that the number?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here.
All right. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm calling from Boston, Massachusetts. My name is Emmanuel Jackson.
You got a minute because we'll soon be wrapping up.
Yeah, well, I was just calling to reference something. Yeah, I subscribe for the Foreign Affairs magazine, and in the September-November issue of last year, an article called "Rogue Superpower." Liberia is mentioned in our article,
And it says, it's just a short paragraph. It says that without such support from countries, it says without such support, some countries will collapse or be conquered. Fragile, aid-dependent states such as Afghanistan, Haiti, Liberia are only some of the most obvious high-risk cases. So I hope President Weah can be reading some of these things and see what's happening. Our country is in such a fragile state that we're subject to be collapsing or being conquered. So this really touched my heart. I said, well, I just went and pull up my article to read it.
Thank you
So
so
I
much.
hope Leo,
Thank you, Jackson.
yeah,
That was a
yeah,
very
I hope Leo can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I think that's a very important point, Leo, because we cannot continue to be aid dependent when we have one of the richest countries on the continent, because we have just irresponsible leadership, people who don't know what they're supposed to do. That's why we're where we are, and all they're trying to do. You know what bothers me about the Liberian man, Leo? The Liberian man, once you put walkie-talkie in his hand, you give him a car. That's all he wants.
He built 6 feet fence around a big
Yeah,
house. Put some
around his house.
German shepherds at the gate.
And then people come in and say, yes, sir, chief, yes, sir, chief, yes, sir, chief.
They sit out online.
Yeah, and yes, sir, chief, that's all he wants.
Yeah.
Why are we so backwards? When we brought hope and inspiration to the continent of Africa, when we led the way for independence, and we're not dummies. Yeah. We're very smart people. But I think it's just that personal aggrandizement, that greed for wealth. We trample over each other. And you see, if you look at the monument out there at the Centennial Pavilion, the guy is at the top and everybody trying to pull him down. Yeah. I think we need to break that doggone monument down. We need to break it down because it's symbolic of who we are. Come in, Leo.
And this is an important thing. I'm going to say something that might sound controversial to a lot of people, but I think we've become a society that have hailed, elevated, and worshiped a bunch of big mouth people who went to school, memorized and score A's, and don't understand a thing of what they actually learn.
They memorize. You're right.
Anybody can go to school, memorize, and graduate with summa cum laude. Let's be honest. If you can go write a whole exam
and you knock their head, everything gone.
The moment they leave the exam hall, you ask them one question on the exam. It's done, but they score an A+. And this is the problem. Liberians, we need to change our system of hiring. So I've often said, in my opinion, 2023 is a lost cause, regardless of who wins the election, period. Because anybody who is seriously able to deliver Liberia will have to show us at least 10 years of a track record of deliverables that can tell us, because when you become president, you don't get the time to build foundation anymore. You're going to have to rely on the foundations you've already built to then lead. Because when you become president, it's more about managing crisis at that point. So if you don't have some solid records and the reason Madam Shirley succeeded, people don't realize it. It was not because she became president. It was because of all the foundations she had laid in the UN, in the IMF, in the United States. So all she was doing is calling on these places that she has so much credibility with them to say, I need you people to come to our rescue. So people think Madam Shirley was able to do all that stuff there when she became president. No, she was calling on her reputation in these institutions for over 30, 40 years of them knowing her to actually do that. But let me say this. Look at our educated people, Shelton. I don't want to be demeaning to anybody, but I keep asking, what are their legacy in the context of being a national leader? I can call them their names. Dr. Sawyer, Dr. H.B. Famulet, brilliant guys who achieve a lot of things that many Liberians will never achieve, but only personally for themselves. What are their legacies in the context of we hailing them as national leaders? Please show me one. Maybe I'm too young, and so I don't want to be arguing about pre-war.
So Sawyer chair a constitutional committee that got us where we are with this crappy constitution under those government. So that's one of his legacies.
So again, I don't want to be demeaning, but it's about time that we put away hiring the big mouth people and put in place hiring the people who can deliver. Because guess what? If we hire a government minister, there should be a terms of reference. Mr. Minister of Education, your terms of reference for year number 1 is to ensure that every Liberian school has a chair for kids to sit down, right? That's your terms of reference. At the end of the year, Mr. President called the minister. Mr. Minister, can we do an evaluation? Where are all our schools right now? And the minister tells you, well, we're not able to get 10%. I'm sorry, you're out of a job. You can deliver. Because you even get 50%, you only get 10% of the 100. But we are hiring people who can talk. And all the time about Liberians, I'll tell you, the other people who hire are people who only know how to spend money, not that they know how to raise money. We need to stop hiring people who know how to spend money and don't know how to raise it. We need to start hiring people who are not big talkers, but people who can show us the substance of the meat. That's my opinion. So for me, I would say to you, let's stop hiring based on name recognition. You notice in Liberia, whenever every government come into place, it's the same people with certain name recognition that tend to resurface.
Yeah, because they think that they're the experts. And unfortunately, Liberia seems to be a rotten piece of meat that all the flies gang up on, and everybody is like fighting for it. And it's unfortunate because, to be honest with you, I saw President Weah as the savior.
Yep.
You know, this guy came to power with no blemish. This is a young man who, you know, struggled to come to where he, you know, to get to where he is. And we didn't need all the education in the world. He just needed to be simple and a leader that was downtrodden. You know, downtrodden.
That represented the struggles of the people.
Yes.
And let me give you an example, Shelton. I said my biggest disappointment in the state of the nation. President Weah spoke to maybe 20% of Liberians, because 80% of Liberians could not understand what President Weah was saying. Why are you trying to speak serious at your State of the Nation when you're speaking? You're not at the UN. President Weah, let me tell you something. You know the speech that President Weah gave, that driver beat speech? I've never admired President Weah in his mojo than that speech. Look, when you see President Weah, you have to be inspired, even if you did not agree with what he was saying. He was, posturing the confidence, that came out of him. You know why? Because he was speaking a local Liberian balance when he descended. He was not reading from paper. He was speaking from his heart. When he talked about GDP, and GDP, you know GDP. He was speaking from the heart. So you can't tell me you didn't admire that speech, even if you disagree with everything.
No. I mean, let me tell you something. I don't have no issue with President Weah. I think President Weah has a genuine heart, but it's just that he's in the wrong place. He's in the wrong place, and he has the wrong people around him, just circulating with nonsense. And for him to go to bed and ask his wife, Claire, listen, Claire, this thing is on you and myself.
It's not working.
Behind every successful man is a solid woman. Rather than trying to, hustle and build Jamaica, this is my country, you my wife, you belong here. We already got our passport and everything. How do we discuss this issue to change this country? I think Claire is somehow intelligent. She can liaise with some of the first ladies around the world and say, listen, my husband is struggling. What can we do to work together to improve, Liberia? But listen, I have one more point here to put out because we'll soon be running out.
I know.
He said during the ensuing months and years, we would take deliberate actions to encourage the kind of participation and views that bring on every facet of the Liberian society in the fold of a more inclusive governance. So these are the things we're talking about. Our conversations here tonight. Let me bring this guy in, Reverend Zizek Bade. Let me bring him in before we come back. Reverend Zizek Bade, are you there?
Hey, good evening.
Yeah, you got to come in fast because we'll soon be out. You have it, but I'll give you 2 minutes, Reverend Dr. Zizek Bade.
Look, man, I think I'm listening to the young man, just expounding on the issues facing the country. And I think, everything in life has strategically linked to orientation. Liberia's problem is that we live in an ultra universe thinking that a carpenter, you understand my analogy? A carpenter can be a brain surgeon. Until we can gravitate to the reality of the times and begin to cognitively be realistic to ourselves. I listen to you were talking about how the pivotal role Liberia played in the OAU and ECOWAS. Those brothers in the past, not only were they strategically engaged in the African Renaissance, but those were people who were cognitively aware of the realities of the times and, of course, the determinative spirit within the bedrock of African solidarity to uplift their people. All right? From the shackles of colonialism, imperialism, to make Liberia to be what it ought to be, not only in the interest, and I'm not saying that we're not flawed. That's not what I'm talking about. But I think we have to call spade a spade. Mr. Weah, the reality of the matter is does not really understand the workings of government.
Thank you.
So, all right, you cannot pretend to have knowledge. Let's be real here. Now, how do we make progress in the 21st century?
Thank you.
When our country is bleeding, our country is bleeding, and we sit all the time and expect that the brother is going to perform a miracle. The only person who did miracles, as far as I can recall, and in biblical history, was Christ. Let's be real here.
All right, thank
the
you.
brother
Thank you.
doesn't
Thank you,
really
Reverend. We
understand
gotta
the
go.
issues as to what is prevailing.
We gotta go,
talk
Reverend.
about the trenches the brother has come from. I'll refer you to.
Thank you, Reverend. We gotta go. We have another caller we gotta take, Reverend. Thank you. The last caller for the night is 9635. The last caller. Hello, caller. Where you calling from? Tell us your name.
This is Dr. Barton Kulak calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you. Welcome, Doc. What's your contribution tonight? We're looking at, if you follow the show, the conversation is pivoted on, Liberia receiving a new ambassador. What does it signal to the Weah's government, and how does its speech aligns with what the expectations would be for Liberia from the U.S. government?
Well, the reality is, like my brother is saying, President Weah is not speaking to his people. And he enjoyed the beat it, driver, beat it speech. I kind of related to the beat it, driver, beat it speech also because of the fact that when I was little, I used to sing that song. And so when he said it, it resonated. And you could have taken that and made an issue of all the things that he knows as a person growing up in Liberia in the slums of what our people went through, and now being in the driver's seat, what he needs to do to get our people where they need to go. So in essence, those around Weah, we keep saying those around Weah are the problem, but I think Weah himself, he's the problem because he's bitten off more than he can chew. He can't handle this country, and he knows he can't handle the country, but instead of him reaching for the right people, he's surrounding himself with people like Samuel Twelve who tell him whatever he wants to hear, and they do all this stuff, about he being the best president since 1847, and he actually believes it. Yeah. I mean, we need to keep talking like you guys are doing on Bridge Radio and the others are doing in other forums. Need to keep talking so this guy can realize certain things and help improve our system. Because like you said, a lot of people thought he was going to be the savior since he had lived that life that majority of our people live. You would get them out of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that's it for callers tonight. We might just go over a few minutes. But yes, let's come back to that issue before we wrap up. Get your closing statement, Leo. The one that I talked about, where he says that they're taking deliberate actions to encourage the kind of participation and views that bring on every facet of the Liberian society into the fold of a more inclusive governance. Do you believe that?
No, because if you say deliberate, right? If it is that deliberate, how come we could not even mention one example? If this is something that has been well thought through, you could have said, for example, we've instituted this particular measure that will ensure that blah, 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 blah. But for you to tell me we're making deliberate actions for everybody to feel inclusive and blah, 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 that's just trying to comfort me with words. Yeah. You're not telling me, say, for example, we've instructed the legislature, or I've instructed the Ministry of Information, or I've instructed the Ministry of Education to do X. You see, one of the problems with Liberians in general, all Liberian politicians do all the time, even in the legislature, we hear it, they can't speak clearly. And the reason they can't speak clearly, because many of the time they haven't thought things through carefully. Because when you've thought things through carefully, Sheldon, you would think about the deliverables and the requirements before even you can pull yourself up publicly to say, I would do X, Y, Z. So for me, I think, again, President Weah needs to go back to the drawing board, be practical, represent. In fact, just symbolically, if President Weah can make himself, you came from the slum. Everybody elected you because of that. Now, you won't be acting like the Burman families of the world, delivering speeches that are eloquent in the English language when you know that's not you. Just if you do nothing for Liberia, authentically represent the struggle so that the kids from West Point and Gibraltar can still relate to the things that they say and see in you.
And I don't think they see that anymore because most of the young people they turn their votes to the opposition, meaning Darius Dillon, because they're just fed up with what is trending in the country. But it's unfortunate. I keep saying it's unfortunate, but I hope President Weah will wake up one of these days rather than allow these guys to fool him and tell him he's the greatest president. He's the emperor that is butt naked, and they're telling me he has clothes on. Come to think about it. But just before we go, we wanted to just chime in on the opposition's rebuttal. Mr. Cummings came in I watched it last night. It was also a bit lazy. But tell me what you saw quickly before we go. Let's leave we are now. Let's talk about the opposition because they're the ones that are paving the way to become president and the leaders of 2023 and so forth. So let's just come on Cummings a little bit. What did you see?
That was interesting to watch because I keep telling people we don't need anybody to remind us about the problem in Liberia. Look, even the ordinary Liberian, if you tell them extreme president we have speech, they can tell you the part of the thing they agree with, the part of the thing that doesn't make sense. We don't need somebody to eloquently highlight it in papers for us. Instead of the opposition being the alternative, providing a speech that say President Weah was wrong on agriculture. Here is what should be done. President Weah was wrong on education. Here is the blueprint for how we can deliver our education system. They came and told us, say, all the thing the president say, you're in the street, the thing you say is not true. We just want to let you know that the president lied to all, that the thing are not true. We know. We can decide for ourselves. You say you want big government. You taking over. But now at top, Cummings and the opposition would have had a summary of their blueprint to say, here's why President Weah's speech was a failure. Let's show you what a proper blueprint looks like, what a proper State of the Union. Where is the opposition accountability for the last 1 year, too? Where is their State of the Union? In terms of what they have been doing to build good governance in the opposition circle, build good institutions in their political parties. I keep saying, what their financial report? President Weah was giving a financial report and his progress report. Where is their progress report? Where is their financial report as to how they've managed their affairs? Because your government is waiting, the way you're managing your institution, that's how we expect you to manage when you get in government. So I would say the opposition to miss a beautiful opportunity to give the Liberian people something different to think about that will inspire hope, rather than frustrate us more to say all the things the man said are lying. You don't believe him. All that things say he can do any period. We see
you can't tell us what you would do, but exactly. You can't tell us what you would do.
So this politics doesn't make sense.
And that's the same thing I continue to blame Weah when people say, oh, he inherited a broke government, he inherited this. Weah knew he was going to take that country. Ellen wanted her 12 years. She did everything to get it. And she said openly that I want generational change.
Yep.
I'm going to take this country and give it to the young people. So you knew what you were coming into. So to come pretend here now that the shoe's too big for you, well, you got to put paper inside. When what we used to do, I would put paper inside
make it fit.
And make it fit. He has to make it fit.
So, on top of the paper.
So he has to make it fit. So, but let's let these oppositions now wait until the day of elections. All right, they need to begin to work because is still a force to reckon with.
Oh, but Shelton, you just made an important point. I keep telling people, Liberians had time that our normal day. For the opposition to be sitting down and praying that things might just keep getting high, and because things hard, the Liberian people can't vote y'all. Because we used to have time. From chat to that time, my brother Liberian people will tell you, say, me, and I get hoping any government to begin with. So if you're not going to give the Liberian people something that makes them to aspire and dream again, and you think they will only vote or we are because things are hard, you will get a rude awakening because people will tell you, say, we'd rather go with the devil that we know than the angel that we don't know. So watch my word. You better wake up as quickly as you can to start showing the people something different. How you can say you're different from Weah when you can call our young people militant? How you can say you're different from Weah when all the things CDC can do that the exact same thing you can do on the other side in your parties and the way you govern yourself? So why should we move President Weah and bring you in there when we just see the same display of everything? Nothing changes. We see your young people, you get youth running around the street like militants with violent behaviors. Then you want to criticize Judge Weah in the same breath. No, show us better. And don't tell me. Show me. When you can show me, then I can trust something.
And he should have had a written speech. He should have gone extemporaneously to show his ability in understanding the issues rather than going there and flatly reading from a paper. He was even worse than we are, to put it true.
Liberia is an
I'm calling a spade a spade.
Liberia is an oral society, period. We've been an oral society for a long time. If you are not capable of studying the things you care about, believing in it and understanding it and being able to communicate to our people in the ways that they are used to symbolically, you can deliver the most brilliant speech on paper. You're wasting your time. Watch Madam Sharif. Most of Madam Sharif's speeches overseas used to be scripted on paper. When she's in Liberia, she kept unless where it was a big thing like State of the Union or something, she kept her engagement very informal when she went to counties and visited or whatever. She was not scripting herself because our people have to be comfortable with your way. When you're talking to our people, they got to see you walking to them. They got to see you. Then they believe that
gesturing, gesturing
to them.
Yeah, rather than just stand there and read from a paper with your head down. We had his head down. Occasionally lifted his eyeball, and then when he looked back, he lost his sentence. He's like, okay, let me find it. So there was long delays. Listen,
it makes you uncomfortable. It makes you not to be confident because we can clearly see that not your thing. Look, there are people who, I can tell you, I struggle to write speeches. I do a lot of public speeches. I struggle. So what I usually do, I will spend time thinking about the things I want to talk about and contextualizing it to myself. Because
do you do bullets?
I do little bullet points, like things like numbers. When you see, you have my sheet here with me tonight.
Yeah.
You see my sheet?
Yeah.
I will write numbers and things that I want to be accurate about so that I don't get it wrong, especially facts. But I don't go to communicate to people like I go copy somebody idea from Google, go Google the thing, copy and make one speech. No, I want to communicate authentically what I've read and what I think about it, and then cite some of the facts to support my argument. That is let me give you something. Half of Barack Obama's success was his ability to capture the American people and inspire hope. He didn't achieve a lot, even his own healthcare thing. He struggled to achieve it because of opposition from the Republicans. But guess what? The American people kept hoping. He kept them inspired. He communicated with them. He kept authentically telling them, what is my dream for this country? It is difficult, but I will not give up trying. And that was 50% of what endeared President Obama up to today's day to the American people. President Weah, you should have been an inspirational figure. The Liberian people did not expect a lot from President Weah, let me tell you. Because
it was clear. They said it over and over. The man on no book.
They elected you to be an inspiration to the children in Gobacho Manke, to the children on Poilan Road, that if you did nothing, that you will conduct yourself in a way, in a manner, that tomorrow they can keep telling their children, I want you to do it because President Weah did it. And that's, for me, that's 50% of his job. Because leadership is symbolism, 50% of it. People were not expecting too much from President Weah. People were expecting President Weah to conduct himself in a manner that would inspire their children to dream and hope for the next 20 years that they could change their own country.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Listen, my man, when you intend to run for president, I just won't be your foreign minister yet. Okay.
I'm an NGO man, so I will stay on that side for now.
But ladies and gentlemen, our viewers and listeners out there, I thought it was a great show tonight. You can weigh in with your comments. We want to thank Leo. Leo, just before I come back to you to give your closing statement, I want to acknowledge our radio partners in Liberia. I like to do that because, the people on the grounds need to hear these things, Leo. Live FM 105. Live FM 104.1, Joy FM 101.5, and Top FM 105.3 in Zwedru, Grangita County. Continue to give us the opportunity to be heard in Liberia. We appreciate your commitment and support. We also want to remind you our fund drive has not fallen on deaf soil. Exactly. We're still in the fund drive mode. I want to remind you, our folks out there, if you enjoy this program, $10 a month wouldn't hurt you. It doesn't even buy a burger nowadays, but we got to pay for some of the things here, keeping this platform going, buying the equipment, the lightings, and all those things. They're very, very critical to keep it going, So we encourage you. We told you the last time, commit. When Ashford gets back, we'll repost some of the things, some of the mediums through which you can contribute. So we want to thank you for your continued viewership and support to the platform. Leo, your closing statement, sir.
I want to begin by just looking at some of the comments, how people have appreciated this platform. Please put some juice to it. And, in the community, we say people always appreciate things. If the Bridge Radio platform shuts down tomorrow, all of you will be crying, oh, what happened? Ashford not on the air anymore. So to keep Ashford on the air, Let's not make him go broke and bankrupt from their own pockets. $10 when I hurt, $20 when I hurt, whatever you can do. I'm appealing to you personally tonight. Let's support. But my closing statement will be this. I want to send a very serious message to the Liberians in the diaspora, especially those of us who support different political parties in Liberia. We cannot continue supporting one group of corrupt people to take over another group of corrupt people. We need to start setting the standards because we have options. Most people in Liberia have to survive. So they are behind these political parties because sometimes it's the only means of survival. They get someone a $5, $10 every day from the political leader or whatever, they go and eat. So sometimes their choices are limited. Those of us who are in the diaspora, we have the real opportunity to change our country. So those of you who are CPP USA, ANC USA, CDC, UP, let me tell you today, when last did you ask your political party to submit the financial report to you? When last did you ask your political party to submit a progress report to you? When last did you have a primary after this election ended that you calling all of your leaders the automatic standard bearers? So nobody else got a chance to take a shot at the standard bearership too? Because I'm hearing Kumi that is standard bearer for ANC, Bwaka that is standard bearer for UP. When did that happen? When they all just dismally performed in the just ended election in 2017, I thought there will be another opportunity to recalibrate and look at what failed. And sometimes the leader may not have been the right person to even lead. So consider all of those options on the table. But instead, we sit in the US here, in Canada, in Norway, in Europe, and we raise money, continue dumping it in somewhere that nobody can give us a financial report or accountability of how they are governing. You can't tell me you will criticize President Weah for corruption, but tell me at the same time your party does not have a responsibility to account. So I would appeal to all of us in the diaspora. Let's start to set the examples and the quality of governance that we claim we want to in a country or the political party that in fact as the election go on, they can be releasing their financials. So now they can do it every month. They will tell you that the Democratic Party raised $300 million and they spent $200 of it on campaign events or whatever. Y'all please learn from the best and let's emulate the best. So I beg all of us, Liberians in the diaspora, we have a real opportunity to keep up the pressure in our own means, but let's do it transparently, authentically, and be examples.
I tell you, man, listen, this people were begging for more of this. I wish we could do more of it, but you know, every good thing must come to an end, like they always say, Leo. I appreciate, man, you being here tonight. It was a great show. I'm sure the Bridge Radio family will come in at some point. We want to thank you for your inspiration to the Liberian people. You're very, very knowledgeable of a lot of things, and we'll hope that at some point, maybe the president can call you and say, young man, you know, and Ellen would say that. She would come in and say, young man, you know, or Charles Taylor too was one of the guys. Young man, you need to come in, you know. I heard some very good things. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes we do these things free for our country because we so love Liberia and we want to see good for the country. But thanks again for coming in and we appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. We'll catch up again. I'm sure the diaspora, rather dual citizenship issue would be one of the things that will come back.
That's a different topic
at some point. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Shelton.
I wish I could do the dance like my man Ashford Garley, but I can't. So thanks so much to all of you, our great listeners and viewers. And listen, always share our videos so that we can have more followings. Bridge Radio Africa is a phenomenon, and we're doing what communications is about. We're enlightening, you know, creating awareness, and we want you to always be a part of. So invite a friend always, and let us do this together. We're not here to give this credit to everything, but we just want to point out some of the key issues affecting our country and what can be done to improve the society. Now, a lot of people will say sometimes, what do we do? What are we doing? This is what we're doing, talking about these things, and we invite you to come in. When you come to comment, provide solutions. Don't ask me, what I need to do. No, it's not what I need to do. I'm bringing the topic up so that you can come in and tell us. So you, our callers, our viewers, our writers, when you're putting your chats on, chat solutions rather than castigate and try to be, denigrating. We're here to work together, because the bottom line is Liberia gets better, all of us get better. One day you want to go home to a country where you're not stuck in the traffic all day, just between Painesville to Monrovia. Less than 7 miles road. You're stuck in the traffic for 3 hours. You don't want that. You don't want a country where you go to, you don't have no money in the bank. What if something happens and you have to stay longer? What do? You don't want that. You don't want to go in a country where you're hoping, the armed robbers don't come on you because the place is dark, current gone, and you're in the heat and you're in the dark. 173 years, we stayed at the same place. What happens? So this is not about coming on the platform and not contributing. We want you to contribute. That's why we open the lines. We want you to contribute. That's why you have the chats. Come in, tell us some of the things, and we can take even from your suggestions and make a topic and bring studio guests in, and we can do an analysis of the things you're saying and how they can be compiled into something that can, more or less bring hope to Liberia. But rather than, not taking advantage of this opportunity and just be, escape a Facebook viewer, that's not cool. We want you to really give good attention to what we're doing. And so we want to encourage you at all times. When you come on, add substance. All right. So thank you all for being there with us. We just had a great night, and it's time to wrap it up. Again, we come on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 a.m. GMT. And that is for people who are on the Greenwich Meridian timeline. Thanks so much to all of you. We had a great time, and we'll catch you on Friday. Thank you.